Identify your challenge and your obstacles. Now what does this mean? Don't overestimate and don't underestimate. Never. Don't underestimate who you're going to talk to. Don't puff your chest up. Don't fill your kimar up with air. Don't think, you understand me, that you know what you're doing. You read these books, you took that course from the sheikh, you read these books and pamphlets, you did this course, you got 4 or 5 dawah certificates, and you know what you're getting ready to go do. Let's go blast these Christians out. Don't underestimate. At the same token, don't overestimate. Don't listen to this radio personality or this professor or whoever it is, and they seem like they're so powerful and they're so crisp and clear and eloquent, and they just coming downhill on everybody, and you don't know what to say. So, I don't know what to do. Sheikh, please come talk to. Keep your composure, because there's a shoe to fit everybody. There's a time, and there's a place, and there's a proof, and there's an evidence. Learn to disarm your opponent. How many people here knows martial arts? If a person has a weapon in their hand, sometimes it might be better to be able to run faster than they can. See, you don't want to try to be no Bruce Lee or Jet Li, you know, because you saw those moves, because it may not happen that way. You should be in good condition so that if you cannot disarm this person, at least you can stay out of harm. So learn to stay out of harm or to disarm. Now, disarming a person is itself a technique. We're going to learn some of those techniques later on. But disarming means take the air out of their attack. You see, it's like in boxing, if I see that a man is not in good shape, the first thing for me to do is dance around for a minute, drop down, hit him straight in the solar plexus, blast him good, knock all the air out, because that's where the power's at right there. And usually if you hit him good in the solar plexus, that's it, the fight is over. There's another place you can kick him to, the sisters know about that, and usually the fight is over. Or give him an ayat, give him a Quran, give him something that's almost like mustard gas or pepper spray. Back him up. Learn different things that you can use for arrogant people or clever people, how you can disarm them. Allah says, use direct and convincing arguments. قُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. This is what Allah said. Speak direct. Be honest. Look straight at them. And you don't have to be clever. Just be straightforward. Be honest. Be simple. Use common sense. Reinforce the generally agreed upon principles. What does that mean? That means when you talk to somebody, there's no sense arguing with them about something both of you agree with. Did you ever begin talking to somebody and you find out that there's not really that much to argue about? Because you're talking to them and they're shaking their head and say, yeah, I agree with that. But you know they're a Christian. And so you keep on saying different things, because they can't just be believing in everything you're saying. They got to disagree with something. You want to argue. No, if there's no argument, don't try to find one. And if you relate a proposition to them or explain something that they didn't understand or something that they misunderstood, don't keep hammering away at the same thing. Whatever's agreed upon, let them know. That's good. At least we agreed upon that. Let's go to the next point. So in the course of the conversation, you might have had 5 points and you agreed upon 2 or 3. Is that good enough? That's good enough for one day. Tell them, say, listen, we agreed upon 2 or 3 good points. I think we had a good conversation. I think we accomplished quite a bit. and we didn't agree upon everything, but we're going to disagree for the day on those points honorably. Okay? See you tomorrow. You leave that person in a dignified way. Distinguish the Islamic principles. What does that mean? While you and another person are talking, they're giving you their principles. What you want to do is, always in your conversation, you may not use Islamic terms, but you want to do what? You want to distinguish the Islamic principles. Later on, we're going to talk about how to do that. How to talk to an atheist without using any religious terminology at all. You can get an atheist to agree about the arkan al-Islam and the arkan al-Iman without using any religious terminologies at all, not even the word God. You probably say, well, how do you do that? We're going to see a little bit later on. Obtain consensus upon those principles. That means when you use the Islamic principles, when you're talking to somebody about Islamic principles, what do you want to do? Starting with kalima la ilaha illallah and Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then going down, beginning with the arkan al-Islam, amantu billah wa malaikatuhu, beginning with those principles, we want to do what? Go one by one and use different ways to get them to do what? Agree. Now you already agree. So if you get them to agree, what do we have? A consensus. Make your case and complete the invitation. You see? Make your case and complete the invitation. How many people here have done sales? What's the bottom line of sales?
Meeting of needs and minds.
And at the end of, what's the bottom line? I mean, if I'm your sales manager, I don't want to hear about how many people you went to meet. I don't want to hear about how good you talk. I don't want to hear about your presentations. What's the bottom line if I'm the sales manager? Selling. I want to know how many deals did you sign and close? Is that right? So don't forget in giving your dawah to make your case and complete the invitation. Now, you don't necessarily complete the invitation today. Some customers, you have to learn to work on them for about a month. Is that right, brother?
Years sometimes.
Now, years, especially if you're selling houses. Illustrate the signs of Allah through science. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآية لأولي الألباب. Did he say that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا طلاها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, throughout the Quran, Allah is saying to us, He's swearing, والعصر, والليل إذا يغشى. What is He doing here? He's giving us propositions, scientific propositions, environmental propositions, by virtue to do what? To emphasize in our minds that He is Al-Khaliq. You see? We have to do the same thing. If you want to talk to an atheist, an agnostic, a person that says they don't believe in God, somebody that says they are Scientologists or something of that nature, the way you want to talk to them is do not use the word God. Use another attribute. Allah is Al-Khaliq, isn't He? He's the source of all creation, isn't He? So you use a different attribute for them. You don't say Allah. You say the source of all creation. The source of all power. The source of existence. I mean, we all existing. There had to be a source. If they agree to that, good. You can start right there. So illustrate the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through science. Now, we're not scientists. And we're not trying to prove anything through science. Not absolutely. We're only making references to science. And that's why the other night when I was giving a lecture and somebody said that we can prove to people that Allah, if somebody said that who created Allah, that there's a way to prove that. No, there is no way to prove that. There is no way to prove that. However, there are some approaches that we can use to answer that question. But I say to you, be careful. That's a tricky question. That's a dangerous endeavor. That's like a minefield. And you can step on the mine and blow it up right in your face. If you're talking with somebody who's really tricky and clever, he can have you saying something about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you have no right to say. Because our job is not to prove any absolutes. Somebody said, prove to me that God exists. And so you start talking for about an hour. Shaitan got you. Because our job is not to prove that Allah exists, is it? That's not our job to prove that Allah exists. Our job is to make references to the human beings. Allah says, yatafakkarun. Isn't he? For those who reflect. Show the consistency of the previous scriptures, the prophets, and the messages. Now, what does this mean? The Quran has basically 3 messages. What are they? Who knows the 3 themes of the Quran? It doesn't matter what page you turn to. Doesn't matter what story. Doesn't matter what page, what example. The Quran basically has 3 themes. Huh? No. Yeah, well, Jannah is part of one of the themes. Yes. Tawheed is the first one. No. That righteousness leads to one of them. Yes.
What's on the earth, my creation, stuff like that?
No, that is to lead to another one. Yes. That's akhirah is one. See, Tawheed, akhirah, and qasas al-anbiya. These are the 3 themes. The 3 themes of the Quran. Tawheed, qasas al-anbiya, and akhirah. All the things, all the laws that's in the Quran are for what? To help us to do what? To get towards the akhirah. Allah speaks about amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy al munkar to do what? To help pave the way towards al-akhirah. The laws, the haram and the halal, to do what? To pave the way towards al-akhirah. The qasas al-anbiya is to do what? To tell us the challenges in life that you're going to meet, that the Prophet ﷺ, they dealt with. That's what the qasas al-anbiya is about. Teach you the different kind of human beings, the challenges that you're going to meet. And the other things Allah is talking about, وَآيَةُ لَهُمُ الْأَرْضُ الْمَيْتَةُ أَحْيَيْنَاهَا وَأَخْرَجْنَا مِنْهَا حَبًّا فَمِنْهُ يَأْكُلُونَ. What is that for? That's to reinforce Tawheed. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ. All these, and as a matter of fact, if you read أَمَّ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ, the last juz of the Quran and the 29th juz of the Quran, those 2 juz, last 2 juz, is basically to do what? To reinforce Tawheed. And those were the surahs that were first revealed in Mecca. Most of the surahs in Tabarak and Juz Amma are what? Surah al-Makkiyah. Is that correct? Why? Because they reinforce Tawheed. Those are the surahs we want to use in talking to people about Islam initially. First, point out the principles of human behavior, human civilization, and historical evidence. Now, we're coming from Tawheed, Qasas al-Anbiya, Al-Akhirah. Now we're coming into what we call micro examples. That's examples of what? About the human being themselves. Human nature, human psychology, human behavior, human civilization, historical evidence. All of these are things that we can use along with Tawheed, Qasas al-Anbiya, and Al-Akhirah. Okay, brothers and sisters, we're in an atmosphere here where it's a little bit dark. I mean, I don't have no popcorn for you. Now, if you get a little sleepy, then what you need to do is just raise your hand, go to the water, take your nice quick little wudu, and come back and get your seat. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to miss 20 minutes of this movie. Now, you're going to get the disc and all that, but you're going to have the meat and the potatoes. See, this is the meat and the potatoes. That's the meat and the potatoes right there. I'm going to give you a dish with the same thing on it. But what I'm giving you is the gravy. And you can't swallow the meat and potatoes without the gravy. So if you get tired, raise your hand and go make a wudu. Bismillah. Show the fallacy of certain concepts and beliefs, and conversely, show the Islamic, and there's something missing here, I'll have to add it in there, show the Islamic proposition. That's what that word should say. Show the fallacy of certain concepts and beliefs, and conversely, show the Islamic proposition. So when certain people, you're talking to certain people and they give you their concept, they give you their belief, they give you their concept and their belief, or you already targeted it, you understood it already. What you have to do is, you got to show the fallacy of that belief, show the weakness of it, show the foolishness of it, show the futility of it. And then after that, show the other side. Don't tell somebody something is wrong and you can't tell them what's right. Don't tell somebody something is not good, something is wrong, you can't show them what's right. You can't tell somebody to stop doing something without giving them what? An alternative. Don't talk about a problem they have, but you can't offer them the solution. This is what we want to learn to do. Provide the Islamic answer and the alternative to those fallacies. Now, the Islamic answer or the Islamic alternative, we can use another word, the Islamic proposition. Brothers and sisters, this word proposition that I'm giving you is a key word. Don't forget it. Another way of saying to a person, I want to give you a proposition. In your conversation, always say to a person, think about this. Yeah, reflect on that. Consider this. See, consider this. Think about this. Let me give you this proposition. Suppose we think about this for a moment. How about this? So now you're not talking in a tone of what? Absolute. You're not talking about either or. People don't like that. Oh, so that means everything you say is right and everything I say is wrong. So that means if I don't believe like what you believe, that means I'm wrong. Is that what people will tell you, right? So that means everything Muslims say is right and everybody else is wrong, everybody else in the world is wrong. No. Trump said, no, all I'm trying to do is offer you the perspective of the Quran. It is the Islamic perspective, but it's only a proposition for you to consider. It's not that everybody's wrong or everybody's right. There's a whole lot of in between. But this is a proposition that you should maybe consider. For us, it's an Islamic answer. For us, it's an Islamic alternative. In some cases, for us, it's a hukam, a determination, a law. For us, it's a fact. But you can't put it to other people that way. Learn to use what I call... Okay, have we completed an hour here already? Have we? 5 more minutes? Okay, we're going to go 5 more minutes then. Strategies and the techniques of dawah. No, as a matter of fact, what we'll do here is we will not go further. What I'll do is I'll stop here for a moment before we go into preparation, strategies, techniques of dawah. I'll stop here and I'll take a few questions, just 2 or 3 questions. Because everything I said is sort of like, it's plain. It's like the leaves on the tree. I could have said it a little differently, and in the course of our conversation or hearing it again, you will or I will. But if there was something you didn't understand, then you can ask me. But if it's just another way of saying something or something you want to add, hold up to that. Right now, the hot dog don't need no mustard. Yes, Akhi.
How do you answer a typical argument that people have when they say that basically truth doesn't exist and that truth is always relative and there's no absolute truth? How would you answer to...
Okay, I've got a book back there. I've got a book back there on the table back there called Arguments with Atheists. Arguments about the doubters of the Quran. Arguments, rational arguments by Sheikh Ali Tamimi. I've got a couple nice books back there that give you some of those techniques right there. For me, I've got several techniques. You know, I like to talk with atheists who want to come with these kind of... I would ask them, I reverse it. You say, what's the question again?
Well, whether truth is absolute, whether truth exists or not.
Okay, so if truth exists or it doesn't exist, what is truth? No, wait. That's my question back to them. If it exists or it doesn't exist, what's the basis of the question? For a question to come, it must exist. Otherwise, nothing to question about.
Yeah, the question is more whether it's each and every one of us can have his own truth.
Oh, that's different. Truth is an absolute fact that is undeniable for the person who holds it. That's a different argument. Now that's easy. I tell a person, I'll tell you what truth is. Fear is truth. They say, what do you mean by that? Go to the top of a building and look down. Every human being, and even an animal, when they go to a height and look down, they back up. That's truth. It's instinctive, but it's truth. So there's a lot of different ways to approach somebody who's trying to be clever. But if it's a person who's really trying to understand, there's a way to bring it all back. Then there's a way even that we can use the Quran to substantiate a scientific way of talking to a person. We'll learn some of those techniques too. Now, some of what you want to know, I'm not going to say it all here because I can't. I got about 30 books on that table over there. This course really has about 65 different books that I would recommend people to read. Books that I use for myself to understand different people's approaches. I don't say you got to read all those books or read the ones that I read, but I can tell you this. If you don't read, you're not going to expand your knowledge. But if you do read, a lot of the questions that you may have today are going to be answered because other people, other Muslims have already been approached in these ways. There's nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new. There's nothing new on the earth at all. Anything the earth produces, it's been producing. Ain't no new answers and ain't no new questions. All people is doing is shaking and baking, you know what I'm saying, and putting some new spice on it, making it seem like it's new. McDonald's been here all the time. It's always been trash and dog food. All they're doing is taking dog food, worse than dog food. They're using marketing, advertisement, recycling, and other kind of techniques and letting people know that just to belong to the McDonald's family itself is to belong to something. People go to McDonald's just to belong to something. That's another conversation, but I'm talking about the McDonald age. I'm going to talk to you about the McDonald age. It's selling people an idea. So once you sell the idea, they take everything to go with it. Who you think sells the most toys in the world? Who do you think is the top toy seller in the world? Who do you think? No, it's not. It's McDonald's. Who do you think sells the most cookies in the world? McDonald's. People think of McDonald's as a burger and a fry and a shake. McDonald's is the top seller of 37 products in the world. Because once you join the McDonald family and you got that McDonald mentality, you're going to buy everything McDonald's say. And they should put a Mac clinic next to every McDonald hospital. Okay. Somebody over here had a question. Yes, Akhi.
The Islamic Institute that you have in America.
Yes.
What do you basically do? Is training people to do that?
Islamic Teaching Institute basically does two things. We take new Muslims and emerging Muslims. Now, most of you here are emerging Muslims. Emerging Muslims are people who are emerging into Islamic consciousness and Islamic work. Out of that static Islam, that static Muslim mentality, you know, that static Muslim mentality. They're emerging into Islamic consciousness and Islamic revival and Islamic dawah, the emerging Muslims. Now, the new Muslims are people like myself, whose mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and all that there didn't know nothing about Islam, and we accepted Islam or embraced Islam or reverted to Islam or whatever you want to call it, whether it was yesterday or 35 years ago. Now, the new Muslims and the emerging Muslims almost have the same needs. First of all, they need to know Islam. Is that correct? So the Islamic Teaching Institute has designed an Islamic teaching course especially for new and emerging Muslims. and I teach it just like I'm teaching this Dawah course. I got a set of books and a syllabus and a set of tools that I'm using to teach it. And so in 30 hours, I can take a new Muslim, brand new Muslim, and after 30 hours, they got basically the tools that they need. Now, they're not going to learn it in 30 hours, but they got the tools. Now, don't you think that it's important for a new Muslim to get the tools? Then it is also important for an emerging Muslim to step back, like Musa alayhi salam did. You know, when Musa was looking, and he got to the place where the two rivers parted, him and his companion, and the fish jumped in the water. What was that a sign for Musa? To go back, right? He knew he had to meet Khidr. He had to go back and meet him. So you and I, we looking for ourselves. We're looking for the right way. Sometimes you got to go back. I say, all of you, some of you brothers and sisters that are sitting here have basically covered most of the basics. That's good. But you should go back and review it. Those of you who have not, go back and complete it. It won't hurt you. The Islamic Teaching Institute teaches an Islamic course, Islamic teaching course for new and emerging Muslims. That's what it does. Second thing, it teaches Dawah training for Muslims, individuals, and organizations. This Dawah course that I'm doing now is for individuals in this case, but I do this also for organizations. So an organization calls me because they don't have a Dawah package. They don't have nobody that does Dawah. So what I do is I go to an organization and I take 5 of their people and I give them a Dawah training course, including management, so that when I leave, they got the tools, they got the kit, they got the training, they got the management, and then they can plug back and forth with myself or I send somebody to do what? As a consultant. So that's what we do for the most part. In addition to that, we are now going into the field of media. We've just been licensed for a satellite television station, and the reason we got involved in it, not because we had money or that we saw ourselves being able to do that, but I saw that I couldn't duplicate myself. It's impossible for me to be, well, almost impossible. Almost. It's impossible for me to be in 5 or 6 places at one time. And I would like to be. I'd like to be right here and in Sheffield and America and in France and also in Saudi Arabia teaching the same course. And I got people that's calling right now. But I can't be. So what do I want to do? I want to duplicate myself. And I also want to duplicate the materials. So by duplicating myself and duplicating the materials, what do? You can spread it. That's the phenomena of this deen. So to do this, we thought that this is a field of media. Duplication, reproduction, broadcasting. So by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we went ahead to get this license. Another thing that we wanted to do, we wanted to find somebody that had a studio in different places so that we could replicate materials, reproduce materials, produce materials. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah, that Allah sent us down here and the brother is in that engagement. So these are the things that we do. And then in addition to that, we do ta'awun with organizations in this particular field to improve ourselves and do better. The issue of managing or offering Islamic services is just something that every organization does. The Global Islamic Youth Center is not set up here for 5 prayers a day. That wasn't what it was set up for, right? That's something that Muslims got to do anyway. It wasn't set up here to do Jummah, but if you got 500 people coming through here, it don't make sense for them to go somewhere else, does it? So Jummah and Salah and a library and other things that we do, it just goes along with the package. But basically, we're engaged in Islamic teaching and preaching and Dawah training and the field of media, inshallah. The other thing is, whatever we are not able to get to a person through the satellite, DVD, VCD, CD audio, cassette, VHS, or internet. That's all media. And we're going to do it all, straight across the board. And we're going to concentrate on dawah and education. This is what we want to do. We want to concentrate on dawah and education. If Allah let this brother open up the studio he's talking about doing, and Allah lets us have this here television station, and then we do some other things that we're talking about doing, this thing is going to go, inshallah. We're going to have an alternative. We're going to do something. The next thing is we want to train brothers and sisters to give this dawah, because if they do, inshallah, can you think if there were 20 people that understood, that 20 people that completed the third level of this program, or the third level of anybody's program in Australia, 20 in the UK, 20 in America, 20 in another part of Europe, 20 in Asia, just 20. We didn't say 100 people, just 20. And those 20 people themselves, they taught 100 people a year. How many people is that? 2,000. They taught 100 people a year. How many people is in this room here? See? In the course of a year, generally speaking, like last year, I did about 2,800 and some odd students that completed at least the first level. I did about 480 something students that completed the second level. And I've only had 17 students that was able to complete the third level. Because the third level is not a joke. It takes a little bit more time because it's a research level. But the whole thing is getting them to complete that first level, because the first level, now they can go out and at least they got the tools to do this dawah. This is the issue. And I want to depersonalize it. This is not the Khalid Yasin package. It's not what it is. And really, I'm thinking seriously, just take the name off of it. It's not the Khalid Yasin package. Inshallah, I'm just initiating it. That's all I'm doing. After a while, it won't even matter who initiated it. It's just like the television. If you ask somebody, well, who set up the television? Who's the first person to set up television? Does anybody here know? The average person doesn't know, and it doesn't even matter. The fact is that it's a powerful instrument that people are using all over the world. We want this to be an instrument. And if it already existed, I would not be doing it. I would simply take what was already existed and use it. Has anybody here ever seen a dawah manual? A manual of dawah that is audio, visual? They give you the step-by-step methodology, the fiqh, the background, and also the techniques. Anybody see one? In any bookstores anywhere? No. The other thing is that we want to take it from this level to a much higher level where it becomes professional, that anybody in the world will not mind to take it. This is not really a good PowerPoint presentation. I mean, it's a PowerPoint presentation that, I did it. And I really don't know that much about PowerPoint, to be honest with you. I mean, the brother who set me up here can tell you that. But I was giving this course for like 2 years without a PowerPoint presentation. Can you imagine that? And I ran into a young brother about 15 years old in Jubail. And he said to me, "Sheikh, did you ever hear of PowerPoint?" I said, "Yeah, I heard of it. I think I got that on my computer." He said, "Sheikh, you should put your presentation in a PowerPoint. It will be much easier for you and other people could see it better." So I said, "Well, I gave him my notes and I said, well, let me see what it looks like." And that young brother did a PowerPoint presentation for me in 2 days. I was shocked. I said, "Now look how foolish I feel." 2 years, maybe 3 years I was doing this here PowerPoint presentation on a what you call that board with the colors? On a whiteboard. Not a whiteboard, but a whiteboard. Yeah, I was doing it on a whiteboard. And I mean, a board like that one over there. I used to divide the board and be dancing around in different colors and everything, and look good. But alhamdulillah, I can sit in this chair here. That young brother got some blessings. Subhanallah. Now we want to take it from here and make it into interactive. Interactive. Where all the notes that we're talking about, when I say the Bible, boom, the Bible opens up. And I got the software right there. King James Version, this one, so on and so. If I said, he said Zoroastrianism, boom, what their book is, boom, hit it, opens right up on you. That's what we really want to do. And we're going to do that with my brother here. Inshallah. But we got to start somewhere, brothers and sisters, and this is where we are right now. So I just want to let you know this is really raw. It's not that sophisticated. It's just that the information, it's a lot of information that goes into it, and I love to do it. This is what I love to do. Okay, so I think we can take a break here, brother, and we can perform our salah. And then right after the salah, brothers and sisters, we will come back, inshallah, to where we left off at. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.
القائد الأعلى المسدد نبينا الهادي محمد في روحه عزم عظيم في الهمة الكبرى تجسد يغشى الوغى من غير خوف وحنين والأحزاب تشد في روحه عزم عظيم في الهمة الكبرى تجسد يغشى الوغى من غير خوف وحنين والأحزاب تشد يغشى الوغى من غير خوف وحنين والأحزاب تشد